We're here for the mighty tribute to The Who, the OX the LOON, John Entwistle, Keith Moon. We're here with the legendary drummer, Corky Laing from Mountain. Please, Corky, tell us about all your Who stories, playing with The Who. I know there's many.
Okay, here's the thing. Mountain, when they went to England, were managed and were taken care of by the same management as The Who. Track records, and so there was a fellow named Peter Rudge who was their road manager, and he was our road manager when we were over there. And as a result of being with the Who's management and production and record company, we got to hang out all the time. And Keith was always around partying. I have about a million stories to tell, but they're actually, a couple of them are in the Keith Moon book. I think it's written by Tony Palmer, Tony something.
Tell us one of your favorites.
One of my favorite stories was, there's a few of them. One of my favorite stories is when Westbooth and Lang were in England, Keith Moon invited us for dinner out in the country. He said he would send a car. And Jack, myself, and Leslie were sitting at the hotel waiting, sort of guessing as to what kind of car he was going to send. Was it the Silver Cloud, the Rolls Royce, the Bentley? Anyways, I don't know if anybody in your audience knows Leslie West, but he's a large man.
Sure.
You know what Keith Moon sends? He sends a Mini Cooper with the driver. So we come downstairs expecting this, the whole unbelievable, and we had our girls with us. So we don't know where his country place is. We had to get in the car, and we didn't know how far it was, but it was quite a joke because we were sitting like scrunched. We were all scrunched in the car. There's Leslie. It's like normally it's a car for 4. With Leslie, it's a car for 6 plus the girls. Anyways, we drive out. We're totally like pissed and going, and we drive up, and Keith Moon comes over the mountain in his hovercraft. Right? He's way up there, and he goes, and he gets out. Hello, mates, how you doing? And we go look at him. I said, Keith, what's with this? What kind of joke is that? We're like, we're out of the car. You know when the clowns get out of the Volkswagen? That was it. And he says to us, I would have sent the car, but it's in the pool. You know, that was the joke, Kachis. But we had dinner there, and it was wonderful, and we listened to the Beach Boys all night at his house. He's a beautiful host.
He was a big Beach Boys fan.
Huge, huge, and that's all he did, and we sang along, and Jack, myself, and Leslie, we had a great time. I mean, there's some other things. As a result of an episode in Montreal, when the Who did their first tour, a lot of the bands had to come through Canada. I was in Montreal with my local band opening up for the Who because the Canadian bands had to put a Canadian band on the show.
Right.
So there I was on the show with my local band watching the Who. Totally blown away, watching Keith, and it was amazing. I was like 14 years old. I was 14 years old. So we're all like knocked out. The Who at the end of their show crashed everything, blew everything off. You know how they did. Destroyed the drum set, and they run off, and the French police guys are covering it. The crowd is out there rioting. I get off, you know, I'm on the side. I have to go get my stuff that I finished playing in the opening act.
You're following them?
No, I opened for it. We opened for you. So no, the show's over. They destroyed, it's still there. You know, we just put it in the back. So I went to get it, and I went back there, and I see this this jacket, this Union Jack, sequence jacket, and I recognize it as Keith's jacket, right? And I look at it, and there's nobody around. He must have taken it off when he was playing, and everybody, you know, everybody had split to the dressing room. So I go over, pick the jacket up. I look, this looks like it'll fit. You know, I guess he doesn't give a shit. So I put it under my coat. It was winter time, and I go back to the dressing room. And I get into the dressing room, and I say, well, they're gonna, and out of the dressing room next door where the band, the Who were, I hear this crying. Somebody screaming, I can't believe they took my jacket. I gotta find my jacket. My grandma made my jacket for me for this tour. He didn't realize he had left the jacket. I've got to get, and he comes out of the dressing room. He has security, and he's wearing nothing but his underwear. And he's saying, I've got to get back to the stage. I've got to get my jacket. And he's crying. I'm talking about screaming. And as he's walking, hysterical, coming back along here, because it's a hockey rink, the dressing room, he comes by, and And I said, Keith, you know, I had the coat hidden. Keith, he says, no autographs now, man. I've got to get me jacket. My grandma made the jacket for this. I got to find it. And I said, Keith. And I pulled the jacket out. And I see his fucking eyes, excuse my Shakespeare, come out. And I see him, he comes out, and he looks at me. And I'm like, I figured, uh-oh, this is it. And he comes up and he grabs me and he goes, you got it. You had my jacket. I can't believe you found me jacket. And big eyes like this, and I'm like this. And he says, I can't believe it. And he, you know, and I said, but, you know, he gives me a big kiss right on my lip, big kiss. And I'm like, whoa. And he just, I'll never forget you, mate. I'll never forget. And he walks off. And for some reason, I said, Keith, I was going to steal it. He turns around at that point, comes up to me, and I figured, what the hell did I say? And he comes and he pulls me back again. He says, but you didn't, mate, did you? You didn't, mate, and I'll never forget you. And he gives me another big kiss, this time with tongue. Big kiss, and he walks away. And you know something? He never did forget, because as we went along, this was his first tour, so as we went along, we met. I am his. He remembered when they played Madison Square Garden 6-7 years later, and they played 7 nights in a row, and so he asked me to come up and just hang with them, and he was way up on the riser, and he says, come on up, and he puts me right behind with his roadie, and I sit there, and he's right there, and I'm sitting behind with the wine and the booze, and I'm watching him. And I'm saying, it's great, I'm going to learn what he did. I'm going to watch him, I'm going to find out what he did. And I'm watching him. The whole night, I'm watching him right there, he's playing. And he gets off the stage, and I get back and I said, Keith, I got to tell you, thank you so much for, I said, I was trying to figure out what you were doing, but I still have no idea how you do that. He says, neither do I. That's it. He doesn't know what he's doing. He does. It was a great time. So,
wow.
You know, so.
I mean, his wild antics off stage and on stage are legendary.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, he's one of a kind. There's nobody been since.
No, nobody is like him at all. And of all the drummers, I love Technique, Ginger, Bonham, no question. But for show,
different every night.
Every night. I don't think he ever remembered. Yeah, he got messed up, all that stuff.
Feel. There was no theory,
and that's what was magic. He flew. He didn't sit there. Yeah. He didn't just get into the groove. He flew. He was at an amusement park all by himself, a roller coaster, everything. And that was my biggest influence. And he said to me, you know, he loved it. He had so much fun. And I said, okay, Keith, I got you for a minute. Give me some advice, 1 or 2 things. Okay, I'll tell you what. He says, what you want to do is always wear a white shirt on stage, because drummers in the back, they'll always see you. And I said, okay, that's fine. He says, yeah, the second thing is keep your cymbals real high so you can look down at the chick's cleavage in the front row. Good advice for music. That's it. So that's a couple of stories, but he really was a good friend, and I'm sorry to say, but there's a few things that happened that are in the book, where he came over and he was stoned out and he hit the floor, and it was some sad parts, but he got up and always had 9 lives, 9, 10.
The one thing about The Who is all 4 individuals were absolutely iconic
characters.
Legends.
Characters.
They're total characters.
Yeah, and you know what?
Ox to Daltrey to Townsend, I mean. Just an amazing.
They are. And Leslie West became very friendly, and they loved Peter Townsend. Loved Leslie. And as a matter of fact, when they recorded Who's Next? Yeah. Leslie came down to. Peter says, "Come on down, Les." And Leslie says, "You know, are you kidding me? You're great." He says, "No, I want you to play lead," because Peter, I guess, felt he was a rhythm guy. So he came down and he played on most of the album. And what happened, I guess the record comp or whatever it is, which is at Glenn Johns, they wanted to get Glenn Johns in there. He wasn't available when Leslie was there, so they redid the whole record again by themselves, because Glenn didn't like the sound of the record plant. He wanted to record in England. Anyway, so there was a change. But the thing, what I'm getting at is The Who, Peter Rudge, all these people, they were Kit Lambert,
Yeah.
all those guys, they were crazy and they were wonderful. It was probably the most wonderful time in England and in America because they had recording trucks. It was all like a group. It wasn't about up there celebrity. It didn't come into it at all. The Stones would use the truck, the Who. It was just a scene, and you had to be really lucky, timing-wise, to be part of it. I'd like to think I was amazingly talented.
We're the family.
Yeah, we're family. It was just timing.
Yeah.
So there's a couple right there. I think they want me to tell the story, and I have no problem. I get excited when I talk about it.
Yeah,
It's a great memory.
You know, incredible stuff. And Jack Bruce, you know, we lost Jack this year. What can you say about Jack and your times with him?
Jesus, there's so much. Actually, oddly enough, Leslie and I were with Jack more than he was with any other band. We were with him for 4 years, and it was condensed, intense.
Cream.
Yeah, it was after Tony Williams' lifetime. He did the jazz thing, and I guess he felt he wanted to just rock out because there was a lot of testosterone going on, a lot of energy. Yeah, we just blitzed that one, and we had the greatest time. But 4 years to try to condense into a story is nothing. All I can tell you, personally speaking, from a technical point of view, from a musical point of view, I learned more from Jack than anybody I've ever learned from. And apparently a lot of drummers who've worked with him say the same thing. He tests you to the hilt. We would be in the studio, just the two of us, setting up the tracks. And all I wanted to do was make him happy. And he wasn't a happy guy in the studio. He was very intense. You had to do 7/4, 3/4, 4/4, go this. And I listened. I paid attention, and it worked for me because forgetting the celebrity, all that. And he right up until the end. That's all it was. And it was almost, he was obsessive, but that's what you have to be. Really, that's what you have to be. He is, and I still think, a genius. Yeah. We'd be on the plane, flying around, and he'd be reading book after book. And I remember walking here and goes, Jack, come on. Speed reading is one thing, but come on, you don't know what's going on. He said, pick a page and tell me what to pick. I pick a page. Okay, what's happening? Well, Jim is fucking her, and this and that. And he knew everything. He studied, and I can't say enough. And then, of course, I met Malcolm when he was 1 year old. We were over there. Then, of course, 30 years later, Malcolm comes over, and I start playing with him. And it was kind of, I don't know how Jack felt about that, because he maybe was the son playing with his guys. Leslie and I were playing with Malcolm, his son. Brilliant player. No, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And I feel for Malcolm because his dad was always away playing, so it's one of those, absentee fathers. But Malcolm, it's in his DNA. But that whole Jack thing was amazing. I think as time goes on, more and more people will start to appreciate Jack more and more. How you say that, but it's his time. He was way ahead of his time, so it's got to catch up. And Jack's stories, boy, they go on and on.
We'll remember him forever.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Okay.
Well, Corky, thank you so much.
I
look forward to having you tonight.
Yeah.
Paying tribute to the Mighty Who.
Yeah.
You're part of that history.